right, welcome to episode 15 of the Illuvium Rundown. As you can see, we have a different setting in the background. I have a different co-host. Unfortunately, Ramfy was not able to make it. So this is Whitey. I didn't just pull him out of the blue. He is basically a childhood friend of mine. But he has some Illuvium land. He's been flipping Illuvitars. He's just been quiet, but he has been in the space. So, Whitey, thanks for hopping in for this show.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to my first show, episode 15, correct?
Yeah, episode 15 is. Yeah, maybe we'll have you on again. We'll see. Let's see how bad you do here. So let's get right into it. So, Illuvitars. We're gonna have a couple segments on this because I know that's what you've been into lately. I've been doing some flipping with it, but do you think it's a success so far?
Well, in regards to the artwork, let's start there.
Yeah.
I think the artwork was done excellent. I genuinely enjoy it. Doesn't feel like your traditional, generative art NFT projects. And I also feel like it's not overwhelming. You got just enough stages, just enough tiers, just enough alluvials. I feel like everything in regards to the art and the work that they did on that end was actually done perfectly. What's your thoughts on the art?
Actually, to be honest with you, at first, the hollows, I didn't really like the hollow. I thought it kind of just, it took away from the art, but they're growing on me. I do like the hollows there. But yeah, I think the art is great. But when it comes to the sales, I think you were just telling me, how many unique owners do we have of Illuvitars?
I think last I checked it was around 5,500 for the unique owners now, give or take how many people with multiple wallets. I know that's not as common with NFTs, but it could be a thing. Yeah. Or just people who maybe bought some, who have some scrap, maybe accessories left in their wallet. I think that was the only thing, and I would have to look deeper at the numbers. That was maybe a little disappointing, was the total number of unique holders. That's
what I'm saying, because the Illuvium Discord, off the top of my head, has over 200,000, maybe even more, people in the Discord. We've had stats before from Illuvium that said that they've been able to reach up to 1 million unique people. You'd think that we'd get a little bit more than that 5,500.
Well, in its defense, I would like to consider myself just above average when it comes to getting into an NFT, feeling comfortable bringing, ETH from one account to your MetaMask, then having to set up the IMX. That was one thing I had to ask you, hey, what's this? I just don't connect my MetaMask. I have to send it to an IMX wallet. Yeah. So I feel like that's still going to be one of the just entry points of...
So you think it's an onboarding issue?
I don't really think it's an Illuvium, the team's fault. I think it's just new. And I think it's, for people, just having to buy Ethereum is new, especially for your average person out there, your average card collector. Mm. But I feel like it is something that a lot of people are just getting used to.
Yep.
And also with this being more of a card collection NFT as opposed to just, a set of 8,000 apes.
Yeah.
It is a little different, and I think it is something that people are going to have to get used to seeing in the space.
Something that I think has been good, or just by judging by the SILV2 price, before the Illuvitars, say a week before, it was sitting around 50% of the ILV, and it jumped up to 80% of the ILV, and it's actually still sitting pretty close to that. And I think more than, it was maybe around 3/4 of the sales were in SILV2. The positive on that side is that a lot of this is getting burnt.
Yes.
So it's essentially lowering the supply of ILV, which in the long term should bring up ILV's value.
Will it ever be a time that we see SILV2 at the 50% ever again? I don't think so. I think people are now starting to realize how valuable it is. Now, it's not getting you the same benefits such as the staking, but if you want to start participating in land sales, the Illuvitars, the gaming, I think people are realizing it's essentially an ILV.
Oh, yeah. When it's in-game, it is pegged to that ILV price. And now we have a constant place to spend it. For a while after that initial land sale, really before this Illuvitar sale, there was no way to spend that SILV2. Now there's always going to be a way, because right after wave 1 of Illuvitars finishes up, we get wave 2. So there's going to be that constant spending. So I do see it dipping down, maybe close to that 60-65% of an ILV at some point. Right now, we're staying pretty strong.
And speaking of that SILV2, that kind of leads us right into our next topic with the flipping the Illuvitars. You can't use it. To buy on the secondary marketplace.
Yeah, so my strategy for that has been buy the SILV2 for a discount, onboard it, open a bunch of discs. Outside of the Blazing Ram Fryer I got, outside of that, I've still been able to get kind of like that one-to-one value. So I'm basically converting the SILV2 over to ETH, and then I can start using that ETH to start flipping around Illuvitars. Because you're seeing this more than I am because you're on it more. There are people who are just undervaluing a lot of these Illuvitars and then listing them for pretty low.
And it goes back to what you're saying. That's one thing I have been doing. I have been flipping the Illuvitars. Let's make note, no financial advice. You are not going to make a ton of money doing this, but it's really fun, and it can be very effective for upgrading your deck.
Yep.
Sometimes I'll go out there and I'll flip an Illuvitar for a 15-cent profit, but I'll do like 10, 15.
Yep.
Make a couple bucks, and then I'll use that to maybe go buy a holo.
Yep.
Or I'll use that to buy maybe a stage 3 or a stage 4. If you want to make money, once again, it's not really. I don't think it's just that time yet. We don't, like we said, we have 5,500 approximately unique holders, but this is a great time because it's early, and you have a great opportunity to build your full collections.
Yep.
And that's something I know you were trying to get into is filling those collections.
Yeah, so for the first, really up until a few days ago, my whole goal was basically to flip my SLV2 into ETH. Outside of the Blazing Ram Fire that I was able to sell, I've been pretty much a one-to-one flipping it to ETH. But now that I'm seeing the floor kind of settle down, and we got a little hint, I think it was from Nick from Illuvium on Twitter, that said the collections, or the leaderboard for the collections are coming soon. And we know once we get that, it's going to, bump up some of the value. People are going to be getting back in there to try to finish out those collections. But yeah, so now I'm going on to the marketplace, and I'm doing a little flipping and collecting. One thing you said that I've really noticed too is, even though I'm kind of keeping that 1-to-1 ratio for dollar amount, every time I'm upgrading my album.
Right.
So my total collection score is going up, while my dollar amount is staying fairly even, which for me, that's a win.
I hate to give out my strategy.
But
I don't want to give out the whole strategy.
Tell the people.
But I think it's only fair, as they're following you and they do look for you for advice.
Not financial advice.
Not financial advice. Collection advice. Illuvitar collection advice. Pay attention to your backgrounds. One thing I'm noticing when buying and flipping these Illuvitars, people are not recognize the difference between maybe a stage 2 and a stage 3. The bubbles are small versus the bubbles being large.
Yep.
The diamonds in the background being large versus being small. When you're opening your packs, before you just want to say, oh, I only got an Archie, let me just go sell this on the marketplace for a floor. Look into it. Look at the background. I've been picking up a lot of stage 3s, stage 2s at floor price because people are just looking at the Illuvium.
Yeah. And flipping it for $1 here and there.
All adds up.
Yeah, exactly. It's a way to build up that collection. It's definitely been fun. And you know what? One thing that I was actually talking to Whitey here about is I want to actually try a little challenge on my channel. I'm going to make a new account, and I'm going to load it up with $100, and I'm going to see if I can flip that $100 all the way up to $1,000 just with Illuvitars.
It's like those flip-up challenge. Turn a penny into an iPhone.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, you know what? Maybe we can challenge each other. We can see who can get to 1,000 first. Or, like, after a month or two, see who's sitting at the highest amount.
Got a little bit more experience. But, if we
do.
don't count your Blazing Ram Fire as part of this,
yeah.
I have a chance here.
Yeah, definitely. But I do think, again, not financial advice, I do think there's still some money to be made in Illuvitars. It's not like opening Pokemon cards where, like, you feel like you're really just throwing your money away. Even if you get something good, you got to try to find a buyer on eBay and then ship it out, and just with the cost of shipping, like, there is a very small margin there. But on IMX, there's no gas fees.
Oh, that's excellent.
You can be flipping for 50 cents, $1, $2. Once you start building up more of some more funds in that account, you can be flipping for hundreds of dollars. Just before this, I was looking at the recently listed sales. I saw an Alpha Atlas with a tier 5 background, like you were saying, people undervalue that. I picked it up for around $200, but I knew the floor for an Alpha tier 5 background was close to $350. So I haven't listed that yet, but that could be an easy $100 flip right there,
Yeah, and then the one thing, just to kind of end up on the Illuvitar flipping, I know a lot of times when people are seeing these NFT projects out there and they see something come up at a really good deal, by the time they click on it, it's gone.
Yeah.
It's not so much the case here.
Yeah, I'm not finding that either. I had a chance to search what that was before I made the purchase.
And you can play it safe. And, you know, sometimes you might lose out on a deal, but it's always better to be safe than sorry than maybe buying something that you thought was great and then you go check the value after it's purchased and you regret it. You do have time, and that's one thing that's been super helpful. So
yeah. So let's move on to just some partnerships here. We did get confirmation that the Bulldogs partnership is being renewed for this year. I know you were just looking into that. Last year they did the custom jersey with the NFT. I think we're looking at the same thing for this year, right?
You have that jersey, don't you?
I do. I do have that jersey.
You still hold the NFT?
I still hold the NFT. Yeah. I haven't looked at the value of it, but I know there was only like maybe 250 of those jerseys purchased with those NFTs.
Yeah, so based on the information that I saw posted, I want to say it was the Discord. I don't know if they put it on Twitter. The contract with the Bulldogs is for 2023 again. And with that, they're going to be coming out with more merch. And as opposed to just a jersey, but they're also going to have some hats, I believe, maybe T-shirts, the Illuvium merchandise that I know we've been waiting for patiently. You get a chance to still get a little taste of it by going to the Bulldogs merch website and grabbing you some of that.
Yeah. Now, before the first or last year's version of this jersey came out, I told myself I wasn't going to buy it. I wasn't that interested, but I still ended up getting it. I'm telling myself that again this year, and I feel a little more confident about it. I don't really see myself picking up one of these. I already have the first iteration of it. With that being said, like I don't think there's going to be too many sales of this. So in the future, if there's, say less than 150 of these sold, so there'll be less than 150 of those promo NFTs, which could gain some value. At one point, I saw that my NFT from the last jersey was creeping up to the price that I paid for the jersey in the first place. So it almost made its money back. So you could think about it that way. Maybe you're making that purchase now and it cost you $160, but you might be able to just get that back down the line.
Yeah, so question is, who's next? What's next? Where are we going with partnerships from here? Outside of the crypto space.
So I think we are going to get some announcements of partnerships soon with Illuvitars. I haven't seen too much about it, but at some point during this first wave, there's supposed to be some kind of partnership discs coming out. We're still waiting on more information on that, but that'll be cool to see because I've said this before and I don't know any of the details, but it could be something like a Nike or an Under Armour or Coca-Cola or something like that. You don't know how big these brands could be, and those could be for the collectibles of those other brands too. Coca-Cola, there's an Illuvitar holding a can of Coca-Cola. All those Coca-Cola fanboys out there, those collectors, are going to be like, all right, I need to jump into Illuvium, figure out this Web3 thing so I can pick up some of these NFTs.
So I know there's a lot of speculation right now around crypto, but the one thing I've noticed is it's not scaring companies from getting involved or at least partnering with metaverses. This isn't something we've talked about, but do you think that there's going to be a situation where there will be a big company looking to get that tier 5 land plot to be like their main sponsor? Do you think that we'll see a major company come out for that?
I do. And if I put on my tinfoil hat a little bit, I think there's a reason why the tier 5 land sale hasn't happened yet.
You gonna give us an inside scoop?
Yeah, and this is just my personal opinion.
Not inside scoop, just tinfoil.
Tinfoil hat scoop. But yeah, I think the opportunity was missed. I think whatever happened during that initial land sale was legit. I think something went wrong in the contract. They weren't able to sell it. But since then, the crypto market continued to tank. The hype went away. Those big companies that might be willing to spend $1 million on this plot of land, they kind of, Web3 kind of was out of their mind for a little bit. Hopefully we're getting into that time now where the markets are pumping back up. The hype is coming back. These companies outside of the Web3 space are looking more into Web3. I think they know that, and by the time we do have that tier 5 land sale, I think we will have someone big buying it up. I don't think it's going to be like a McDonald's or a Coca-Cola. I think it's going to be more of like a top esports company or something like that.
That'd be a good fit. I think we could use something like that. I think for the space, it would be good to see it stay within an esports game, esports holding the biggest plot, so they can run the most efficient.
Yeah, essentially, it would be just like a regular stadium. Like if you think we live close to the Gillette Stadium, in Foxborough, Massachusetts here. Gillette bought out the naming rights. Could have something like a Gillette Illuvium Tier 5 stadium.
Time will tell. We're going to find out hopefully soon. Bull Run's coming, hopefully.
We will. But all right, we're going to get Scoriox on for a little bit. So we'll get onto a call with him right now. All right, Scoriox, welcome to the channel here. Welcome to the Illuvium Rundown.
Thanks for having me, man. Excited to be here.
Yeah, definitely. We've been trying to get you on for a while here. We're on episode, 15 now? And I know it's like the middle of the night for you. Yeah, I'm surprised we haven't had you on yet, but I really appreciate you coming on. We just have a few questions for you here. I want to talk about Gov2 real quick. So obviously you're on the council. I just saw recently that's going to a vote. Can you tell me how that went down and if you guys are happy with what's in the proposal right now?
Yeah, so it just got voted on. I was the 5th person to vote, like normal. And it's all been approved. So there's that. That's just to say up the front. So that's all approved. GovV2 is done. It's happening. There still needs to be some level of technical implementation. We don't know exactly what that's going to entail, but there's that as well. But as for are we happy with it? Yeah, we're really, really happy with GovV2 as it stands right now, especially we've incorporated all the feedback from the community. Maybe there's a few things that maybe need a little bit of tweaking, but we know that GovV2 isn't a final document, right? Like it's going to be adjusted. It's going to be improved. That might not even be in this epoch. That might be in the next epoch, but we think it's at a stage where it's it's perfect enough to get implemented, to get incorporated into the next epoch. And if changes need to happen, it's really not that hard. I mean, it's a one ICCP away or whatever it is. And then we've fixed whatever error that might be in GovV2. But at the moment, community's happy with it. We're happy with it. We've had lots of feedback, lots of discussion. So yeah, no, it's pretty sweet.
So what's the timeline on it? Are we expecting the beginning of the next epoch for GovV2?
So this was discussed a bit in the town hall. I'm going to reiterate that a little bit because I think that was explained quite well. Kieran basically said that as far as technical implementation goes, it's a bit hard to gauge, pretty much because it's mostly back-end work, and the back-end dev team has just moved from Illuvitars to hardcore on PvP and things like that, and taking them away from PvP is not what we want to do. Not as a DAO, not as a council, not as anything. We don't want to take people away from PvP and the core parts of Illuvium. So as far as that goes, they might have a chance to kind of start to construct our own governance platform outside of Snapshot, because Snapshot, especially down the road, won't give us everything we possibly want to do in the next 3 to 5 years. But that might not happen before next epoch. And if it doesn't, then we're still confident that we really want Gov2 to be existing in the next epoch. That's the bottom line there. So even if we don't have something technically implemented on some website or our own website or whatever it might be, we're definitely going to be setting up some sort of manual implementation where we just do the system manually. It'll be a little bit janky. It won't be, I expect it won't be that intuitive, but it's better than just doing GovV1 for the next epoch. So that's likely what's going to happen. But again, we haven't really discussed with the team yet on how long technical implementation might take and things like that. So everything's subject to change in that sense.
All right. And just for anyone who's watching who isn't aware, can you just give a very quick summary of why GovV2 is going to be better than GovV1?
A quick summary of GovV2.
Quick summary, as quick as you can. 1 minute. 1 minute summary.
So GovV1 basically is 5 council members that vote on proposals. They're voted in by the community. GovV2 has 5 sub-councils now, 6 sub-councils. I lost track a little bit because one of them is a committee. Anyways, it has lots of sub-councils that are also voted in by the community, but they also have team members kind of residing on them that are appointed, which is really helpful for communication between the team and then getting that communication to the community. And the other thing is the level of expertise will be a lot more diversified, right? So currently the council is just made up of the 5 best candidates. Now, what the best candidates is very, very subjective. Now, with all the sub-councils, you'll have things like a game sub-council, a strategy sub-council, a marketing sub-council, and things like that. And basically, that means that the people trying to elect themselves for these councils will be much more defined and refined in those skills and those strategies. So you get a lot of people that have been in the marketing industry and stuff putting themselves forward to be on the marketing sub-council, and you'll get just so many more different opinions. And I think that's the most exciting part of it, is not only are there more people on the councils to better decentralize it, is there'll be a much more broader sense of different opinions, different ideas, and different skill sets. And that's going to make it that much more powerful without a doubt.
Awesome. Definitely looking forward to that.
So I saw you just put out a video about Illuvitars and their value. And we were just talking about how flipping Illuvitars is a great way to upgrade your deck without having to necessarily go back into your bankroll. But what I'm noticing is there's a big discrepancy in values. You know, one might be listed at 25, the next is at 600. The floor price goes from 13 cents to 45 cents in the same day. So when do you think that we'll start to see a more fair value and a more stable value of the Illuvitars?
I don't know if we're going to see that soon. I think Illuvitars' greatest strength. So I did actually watch your video, Najaf, and I haven't started flipping the market yet. So you're going to have to send me some DMs so we can chat about that, because I have no idea what I'm doing right now, because I'm actually focusing a lot on the Illuvium Master side of things. I don't know if you guys have used the site much, but we're building out some UIs and things to make that sort of stuff easier for people, or easier for me, let's say. As for the stabilization of the market, I don't think we're going to see that during wave one. After wave one, we're probably not going to see it for a bit. Illuvitars' biggest strength is the IP. Currently, the IP doesn't really exist. When you think about it, there's no game. For example, if Pokemon came out with Pokemon trading cards and there was no anime and there was no video game, that those trading cards would not have a stable value. Barely anyone would know about them or be buying them. That's how I see Illuvitar. So until the game is out and things like that, I wouldn't expect to see the market make sense, so to speak. What will be interesting, though, is that if the game doesn't come out in the first wave, which is obviously highly likely, then there won't be that many Illuvitars minted. So these wave one Illuvitars will have quite low supplies in the future. And let's say Illuvitars the volume does increase exponentially when the game comes out. These wave one Illuvitars, I don't know what's going to happen to them, to be honest. I mean, you would expect the price to go up a bit, but whether it would be volatile or not is yet to be seen.
Awesome. And then one thing I was thinking, and in regards to the diversity of the cards, the backgrounds, the expressions, the hollows, the alphas, what's your thoughts on the balance?
I think the mega discs were really interesting. You guys saw that I ran my odds, and I got about 35% chance that your rare is going to be a hollow. After my 100 discs that I pulled, I don't doubt that for a second. And we have looked at the numbers, and my numbers are actually really, really close. They were slightly off, and I do know why.
I personally think with the Illuvitars, it was just the right amount to the point where it's not complicated, but it's also not very basic. So I was just wondering, your thoughts on that. Do you think that, what's the best way to put it? That there's just enough diversity in the types of cards that you can pull?
No, I do think it's awesome. I think it's a little bit unintuitive for the most part. Like, you pull like a blushing geyser and you're like, is that the rare expression? Is that the not rare expression? Maybe that should have been a bit more clear from the get-go. And that's something that I'm working on in the UIs very heavily, because that's important to me. No, but I think it was very, very well balanced. The only thing that was kind of disappointing to me is the collections feel a little bit weird without all 6 waves having come out. And obviously that'll change as we go. But I would have liked to see it be a bit more streamlined, if that makes sense. The album game feels a little bit incomplete without all the waves out, which is obviously intentional. But I would have liked to see, for example, Atlas, Axon, and Axon all came out in wave 1. I would have liked to see lines staying together in the waves. And I know it's a little bit of a retention hack to try and split them up amongst the waves, but I would have liked to see them be a bit more coherent. And maybe this wave has a lot of fighters, but then you have a lot less people that can purchase them. And then when you look at the odds, it doesn't make much sense, because you need a really even distribution of T5s and T4s and so on. For example, there's one stage, one T5, two stage, 2 T5s, and the Ramfire with the stage 3. So I get kind of why they've done it and things like that, but maybe the structure should have been rethought a little bit to better fit the album, which is where I'm feeling it feels a bit weird. Like, you've got every Illuvitar from the wave, but your album's still half empty. It just feels unusual.
All right, so one more question for you. So you're obviously in all parts of Illuvium here. You got Illuvium 0, the overworld when it does come out. You got Illuvitars here. How are you going to balance that when it's all out? In just more specifically, like with your time. Say you had 3 hours in a day to just dive into this. Like, where are you putting your time?
I am a collector at heart, always have been and always will be. The PvP is big for me. I actually really liked playing Hearthstone back in the day, and I played quite a bit of competitive Pokemon when I had a lot of time to do so. I think you're going to need a lot. It's going to be a much more of a Hearthstone, a bit more casual. I mean, I'm still going to try and get high on the rank leaderboards and things like that. But I mean, the games are quick. So if you have an hour free, you can jump in, play a few PvPs, jump out. You know what I mean? In Pokemon, it's a little bit less like that. It takes you 20, 30 hours to build a team, which is ridiculous, obviously. I think I'm going to spend quite a bit of time in the overworld because I really like the collecting aspect. I probably won't sell much. I get too emotionally attached to anything I catch in any game. But I'm definitely going to be going in there to try and get up a collection and playing a lot of the PvP whenever I have the chance. Doing both of these on stream. As far as Illuvium 0, that'll probably be mostly on my phone. I'll definitely stream it sometimes, but I feel like that'll be a side stream alongside things like the overworld. Like I'll be playing the overworld and I'll have my stream deck set up so I can switch between them. Obviously, I've got 4 monitors, so it would not be that hard for me to set that up. So I really like that side of things, but I think most of my time will be spent collecting as much as I can, and that'll probably include Illuvitars, but I will keep streams to the things that are entertaining as well. So probably Overworld and PvP, but I really like talking through strategy games. I haven't done a lot of it so far, but I really like it, especially mind games. That's something survival mode doesn't have, and that's my favorite part of any strategy game. So I'm excited for the mind game side of PvP. I'm hoping I'll be good at it. I've always felt like I'm decent at those sorts of games. I mean, that being said, I'm pretty crap at poker, to be honest. But I really like the idea of doing that. And I'm not big on watching streams. I never have been. And I don't know why, and I'm still not really. But the one streams I did used to watch when I was a bit younger was all the Hearthstone streams. I don't know why I really, really liked them. I just like the idea of being able to predict what your opponent's going to do, being able to predict what card you're going to draw next, and then figuring out what you're going to do. And for some reason, I found that really compelling. So the PvP is going to be a big thing I sink my time into, especially in a content creation capacity.
Yeah. It's funny that you bring up poker because that's what I keep thinking about too. I like to think of myself as an okay poker player. But yeah, it's just the mind games. It's like the numbers game and the mind games. Like, what is your opponent going to do? How are you going to react to that? And what are the chances of them doing a certain thing versus, the probability of you putting something on the board, how it's going to match up. I'm pretty excited about the PvP as well.
I think mind games change up the dynamic of gameplay so much. Like, if I were to say to break up the strategy of PvP and what's most and least important, I think deck building is obviously going to be decent, but I think the mind games are going to be so powerful that someone with a mediocre deck will easily be able to beat someone with a really good deck if they can outthink them. And I hope that's the case. I think that's the plan. And if that's the case, that's going to make me really happy because I like those sorts of gameplay mechanics for sure.
Yeah. Well, when it does come out, I want to challenge you on a stream. We'll see who can take the W there. Yeah.
It'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it will be fun. We're going to let you go. I've had you on here for about 14, 15 minutes already. I know it's late in the middle of the night for you. So thank you for coming on. It's been a great chat, and we'll connect again in the future.
Yeah, easy. Yeah, no, it's been awesome. I've been really enjoyed seeing you grow too. Some of your content lately has been absolutely incredible. Like, I remember when you first started, your content was still really good and informative for sure. But some of the other sides of it weren't quite there yet. But you've finally gotten there. You've gotten it all really where you need it to be, and you're still improving every day, which is awesome. So it's really exciting to see not just yourself, but all the creators in Illuvium and in the space in general grow and build together. Even me, I've had lots of creators help me out in the past, like Vulcan and stuff. Vulcan doesn't really do Illuvium content before anymore at the moment, but he was doing Illuvium content before me, and he helped me get started as well. So there's a lot of that in this community, and that's really awesome to see.
Yeah, I like we're all able to help each other out too and help each other grow. I wouldn't have been able to grow as quick as I did without the help from you and some of the other YouTubers. But yeah, it's a fun time. Can't wait to see how it turns out in a few years from now.
Yeah, 2023 is gonna be wild. Let's put it that way.
It will be. See you later. Good night. Get some sleep.
Thank you. Thanks for
Have a good
joining.
one, man.
All right, thanks Scoriox for coming on. I'll definitely be leaving some links to his Twitter and his YouTube down below, so make sure you give him a follow if you don't already. I'd probably guess most of you do follow him. But yeah, so now we're going to move on to the Ethlizards ILV partnership, really. So if you're involved in the space at all, you know that Kieran, the co-founder of Illuvium, has a big part in Ethlizards. But there really hasn't been an actual partnership up until what was proposed recently. Ethlizards happened after the seed round for ILV, so they weren't able to get in on that. But Kieran's definitely played a big role, and they finally kind of tied the knot on that partnership because Ethlizards is building out a gaming ecosystem. Nothing big. They don't want to be known as a gaming company. They still want to be known as the Web3 gaming investment route there. But they are building out a gaming ecosystem, and they've announced 3 games that they want to build. One is in a collaboration with Illuvium, and more specifically Illuvium Beyond. So I did make a video on Ethlizards. You can go and check out that and everything that's going on with them. But I'll throw this up on the screen, and it's actually going to be with disc battles. You've seen disc battles on the Illuvium YouTube. I've done one on my show. Other content creators have done it, where you kind of open up a pack, bond a few of the accessories to it, and you see who gets the highest score. I don't know the long-term value of that from a viewership standpoint, but when you're in it, when you're actually doing the battle, it's definitely pretty fun. And it encourages more discs to be opened for Rev Dis in the future. So what they're building out is just a protocol where 2 people will be able to go in with their discs. I don't know if there'll be a wager set up or some kind of prizes for whoever wins that battle. But it is cool to see that there is going to be an Illuvium game made by a third-party company instead of actually by Illuvium itself. It kind of opens the doors. Could other third-party companies build out games with the Illuvium IP? Any thoughts on that?
I think it's a good entry point. That's not actually something I did not think about, so these thoughts are fresh.
Yeah.
And I also, like I said, I didn't know, and we were talking about it, I missed out on the Ethlizards. Still thinking about getting in. This is really cool to see the partnership here, but I think it at least lets people know that it's a thing, right? Like, you can come in and, like they're going to be doing the disc battles. Mm-hmm. So now maybe what this does is other people, other projects that are seeing Illuvium, maybe as they see the hype come around it, the Illuvitars, all the games, maybe they say, hey, this is something maybe we can give a shot and see if we can partner up and create something for the community to enjoy.
Yeah, I always think of this like Pokemon. Like, there's so many different Pokemon games out there, but they're not all made by the same company. You have, Niantic, I think, is one of them. Off the top of my head, I don't know too many more of the companies, but I know that it's not the same company that makes every single Pokemon game. There are companies that partner with the Pokemon company and do their iteration with the IP. So I think something like that could also come to Illuvium, which I think would be pretty cool.
It's definitely helpful to take some of the weight off the team because they have enough to do. They're constantly building out this project. So for someone else to come in with their own creative ideas...
Yeah. It's just going to expand the IP to more and more people.
That's all you can do. It's worst that it can happen. You have better ideas coming to the table. Some go through, some don't.
Yeah, exactly. It's just worth a try at least. All right, so we get another short segment here. I just wanted to talk quickly about the Illuvium 0 update. This was supposed to happen weeks before the Illuvitars came out. There was some issue where we've come to expect here, where they had to delay it. Then they said a week after the Illuvitar sale. At this point, we're about 2.5 weeks after. They did come up with an update, but they didn't wipe the land for Alpha Season 0. So we're still waiting on Alpha Season 0. The reasoning is that they're introducing the marketplace. They wanted to test out that for any bugs in Alpha Season 0 before they went into Alpha Season 1. The marketplace is pretty cool. It's something I didn't I didn't really know how it would work until, I opened up the game and saw it. But if you have a plot of land where you're lacking a certain resource, but you have a lot of a different resource, you can basically list that on the market to trade for a different resource. So say like you have 5 carbon resources, but you don't have anything for silicon. You can say, or I want to trade 200,000 of my carbon units for 150,000 of your silicon units. There is a time for that to happen. It isn't instant. I did see posted that there is a certain transfer amount per time. I guess it's 1,000 elements will take a minute to transport. If you're talking about hundreds of thousands that you're transporting, it could take multiple days to make that exchange. But I do think that helps out the people who lack some resources, and it even helps out the people who have multiple plots even more. Because you can make a 1-to-1 trade between your own plots if you want. If I have one plot that doesn't have any carbon resource and then another one that doesn't have any, silicon resource, I can just trade that 1-to-1. It'll take a little bit of time for the transport, but it'll make you more efficient in the end.
So does that mean that we're going to be flipping resources?
Oh, we're going to be flipping resources.
So these resources...
Because they're all going to have a different value,
I was just going to say, now, is that based on your tier of land? Or is that just... How is that going to work in regards to their value?
Well, so each tier of land that you go up, obviously you're able to create more of these. So I don't see too many tier 3 or tier 4 plots trading with a tier 1 plot, because this just... They're not going to be able to get much out of that.
Right.
I think it's going to be mostly trading among similar tiers. But yeah, based on how much that resource is in demand, you can get more out of it. And the team does want to balance all of these resources. So in theory, they should all stay close to the same value. Say, for example, we're looking at fuel. And say there's some big announcement. I don't know, I'm making this up. But there's like that mythical alluvial that no one knows about. Say they're just like, oh, it's getting dropped into the game, tomorrow. And then everybody wants to try and go and catch that alluvial. So the price of the krypton, which is going to be used for fuel to travel and catch these, might spike up for a day or two. And then a lot of people are going to be selling that krypton, but you could also trade that krypton for a good value. You might say, oh, I want to trade 100 of my krypton now for 1,000 of your solons, and you might get somebody to accept that offer. So it's just going to be another dynamic of the game, similar to flipping Illuvitars, but you could be flipping this fuel back and forth.
So another update. Always good to see more updates. How many more updates are we going to have, do you think, until we're rocking, we're playing?
Just like the teams, they don't like to give dates. It's hard for me to even say dates because I end up a little disappointed.
Think we'll correlate with the bull run conveniently?
No, I do think Alpha, well, they have to get out Alpha Season 0 before the main game comes out. I haven't heard anything about the main game being delayed past 2023. We might be at the end of 2023, but I do think the main game is going to come out this year. When the main game comes out, open beta comes out, it's also going to be the Season 1 for, like, the regular open beta Season 1 for Illuvium 0 as well. So they need to have the Alpha Season 0 out soon so people can collect those 15 available blueprints before the open beta happens. I do think we're going to get that soon. If you're in the Discord, they're constantly saying, oh, this is what we're working on. It's coming soon. It's coming soon. And even though we'd like to say, we want it like a week soon, if it comes out in 3 weeks, we're going to forget about it, real soon, and we're just going to, start enjoying it.
Right. So, is it about that time?
It's about that time. So, again, we're missing Ramfy, but he always says, Leak of the Week rolls right off the tongue. So, we're going to start with your first ever Leak of the Week. What do you got for us?
All right. So, with my Leak of the Week, what I have is it was just recently announced, and it was in regards to the mining. It's going to take some skill, which is good to see. Because with any game, yes, you want it to be accessible. You want it to be easy enough to play. But to really draw in some more I don't want to say professional, but more just intense gamers,
Yeah.
you're going to want to be rewarded for your skill.
Yep.
So when it comes to mining these minerals, they're now saying you're going to have to master all aspects of the mechanics.
Yep. How fast you can get around, right?
How fast you can get around. And now, remind me, the thing that's closing in on you.
Dimensional stability.
The dimensional stability. And that was the one thing I was looking at. It was kind of closing in. Kind of reminded me of like a Fortnite where the map's closing in on you.
Exactly.
So yeah, no, I think that's really cool, really necessary. And I'm not really. I know you are. You pick up games fast.
Yeah.
I mean, your first videos were just about strategy.
It was.
How he was making strategy videos
a year and a half ago.
Blows my mind. That's not really my go-to at gaming, but I do enjoy seeing that. Although I'm not the best gamer out there, and I don't just have this gaming instinct, that they are going to make it so your skills are going to pay off.
Yeah, and one thing that I did hear about this is they don't want people to be throwing away money or wasting money. So this dimensional stability that's going to close you in, it's not going to kill you off. Like if you have I guess it would be the fuel. If you have the fuel left in the overworld, you're still going to be able to use it all. But if you want to be as efficient as possible, you're going to have to be fast. You're going to have to be able to get around. You're going to have to be using the Gymborino jump to be flying through this this overworld. But I would think more of like you might be able to get more out of being good at the overworld, but this isn't going to take away from what you're able to get. You'll still be able to use all of your fuel, mine resources. You won't run out of resources to get. It's just more about being efficient and quick with things. But I definitely thought that was pretty cool, taking the dimensional stability idea from the battle section over to the overworld. I'm going to get into my leak of the week right here.
All right, let's pull it up.
So I just have this Afisto. I think, I don't know if I'm always saying that wrong, but this might end up being the favorite over the Ramfire. I think it's going to be one of the strongest in the game. But this thing just is battle animation that Grant put out in the leaks section of the Discord. Swinging its arms, throwing out that electricity, hitting, I think this might be the Kieran version of the monkey here. This thing just looks real cool. It kind of reminds me a little bit of like the Mewtwo in Pokemon. Like it just looks mythical, really. But I can't wait to get my hands on one of those. Once this gets released into, the survival mode, or hopefully we get PvP soon, I think a lot of people are going to be using this one, and a lot of people are going to be wanting it in their deck. We're going to be flipping regular Illuvials, not just Illuvitars.
It's coming soon, yeah.
Once these come out, if you can manage to come across something like this in the overworld, you might be able to get a pretty penny for it.
Not gonna lie, I'm like I said, I'm not a big gamer, but I'm excited to see just the whole world and how it comes together.
That's why I'm so bullish on Illuvium, and why 95% of my videos are on Illuvium. Because I think there's just so much going on here. There's going to be a place for everybody. It doesn't really matter what kind of gamer you are. Even if, similar to you, even if you didn't want to play the game, and you just wanted to flip things back and forth and make a little bit of money and just be involved in the area, there's a place for you to do that too.
And you got me into the Web3 gaming. Yeah. You kind of got me into the crypto, and I've been through my fair share of just disappointing projects. I should have listened to my gut, because when I was in those projects, I told myself, this ain't it. I was like, this isn't it. I'm not feeling it. And this one, it feels right.
It does.
It feels legit. It feels like I'm playing a real, PS5 to Xbox type game. The quality, and I think we found it.
I think we did too. But that's a good note to end on. That's the end of our, episode 15 of the Illuvium Rundown.
Thanks for having me.
Whitey, thanks for coming on. Thanks for filling in for this week.
I will be in the comments. So
be in the comments.
I'll keep my eyes open. So keep it nice in there.
And if you like Whitey's perspective on things, I've been trying to get him to start up his own YouTube channel. He does have a Twitter. I'll link his Twitter down below. But If you think this is a good personality that we should bring into Illuvium to be more vocal, let us know in the comments, and I'll try to push him even more.
We'll see.
That's it.
All right, thanks everyone.
Later.